And we are back, folks, with another episode on the Train Well podcast. Before we get a deep dive into our introduction of today's episode, call to action, folks. We want to hear from you. We want you to speak out and talk to us about what you would like. So simply email us or text us with content you would like to hear. We love you guys so much, and we want to keep things in your wheelhouse. Today, we talk part 1 of our perimenopause series. We're going to deep dive into 4 different episodes. It could even be more episodes because we're going to get our blood pumping on this. But today we bring our own Kris Sullivan. She talks her own story into perimenopause.
Yes, Kris began her fitness career while raising 5 children. She dove headfirst into group training and then became a certified personal trainer in 2017. She specializes in supporting women through all stages of life with a focus on perimenopause, menopause, and prenatal and postpartum fitness. She's also a functional fitness specialist and corrective exercise specialist with additional training in low back and core function, and she believes that exercise should feel empowering and sustainable, and that it shouldn't add pressure to your life, and I would agree with her. So in case you're thinking that this episode is not for you, if you're not in perimenopause yet, or if you're a male listening to this episode, I promise you it's for you. If you're a younger woman, you need to be prepared. You need to listen to this episode. And if you're a male and you're partnered with a woman, she will, if not already, she will go through this, and it will be so helpful for you to know this information so that you can support her and know what to expect. So stay tuned for part 1 of perimenopause. We have Trainer Kris with us today. And we're so lucky to have her with us. So, Kris, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, and since we're talking about perimenopause today, we would love to hear your story with perimenopause, your personal experience, and kind of like when that started for you. Like, how old were you, and did you feel like totally caught off guard, or did you feel kind of in the know? What did that look like?
Yeah, so I'm a mom of 5. I'm 53. I knew that this would be a stage of life I would be entering into, but I think like a lot of other women, I would, things that you hear would be like, okay, hot flashes and your cycles get irregular. These are very, not just common, but kind of in your face. You know that those things are going to happen. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, when I start to get hot flashes, then I'm there. That's when I'm entering it. And I think looking back now, because I'm a little bit older, I'm looking back and going, you know what? There was a lot more that led up to where I was like, oh, okay, I must be entering perimenopause. But I didn't have any of that information until I started looking into it. Until I started digging in more and listening to podcasts and really, hearing that there are so many other symptoms for years, and this is all part of the perimenopause. I was just going menopause. Okay, we're going to hit menopause, but the perimenopause lasts for a long time. And again, looking back, I'm like, you know what? That makes sense. Everything that I was going through makes a lot of sense now, but it was kind of in retrospect.
Yeah, so looking back, when do you think you actually started perimenopause, but you weren't registering it as that?
I would definitely say somewhere in my 40s, but again, I'm a mom of 5, busy, like we all are, super busy, that, being tired or being irritable. Okay, that's just a mom life. That's just you going through, your routine. So you don't put 2 and 2 together. You don't assume that, oh, I'm going through these things. And again, dealing with kids, I had kids at a different age group. Some were teens. They were going through their own hormonal changes. So I'm not looking at myself like, well, maybe I'm going through the same thing. We're both irritable, but I'm so focused on them that I wasn't focusing on myself.
I think, Kris, can you do us a huge favor and can you define perimenopause and what it is, and set like symptoms you were dealing with and symptoms you heard from clients, right? But take us down that road, please.
Sure. So the standard definition of menopause is the absence of the menstrual cycle for 12 months. So you have to have not had your period for 12 months. Perimenopause usually begins, it can begin, in your 30s. And that lasts 7 to 10 years before you hit that menopause stage. So you're really in this cycle of hormonal changes for a very long time before you hit that stage where, oh, I haven't had a period for a year. So that's the clinical definition of it. And then postmenopause is afterwards. That's where women, 30% of the rest of their lives, they live in that postmenopausal stage. That's when you're, elderly. So yeah, perimenopause is really a very long amount of time before you hit menopause. But again, even nowadays, we still don't understand what that means until we're like, oh, I haven't had my period. So again, a lot of us are looking back and going, these symptoms make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think this is part of why it's so amazing that, well, unfortunately just now, but lucky for me, like I am just coming up on hitting that age. I'm 38 right now. And perimenopause can start as early as 35. I mean, it can start earlier for some, but can start as early as 35. And because I'm aware of so many of the symptoms, I'm going, oh my gosh, that could be the start of it. But because it's so manageable still, you're not you're not really struggling, but just the awareness to know, it's so empowering because now I get to go, okay, I want to make sure I'm doing all the right things so that I'm not really hardcore struggling like some others might who aren't prepared.
And I think that's the key word is awareness. We need to have awareness. We need to be heard. We need to, be shouting this out to everyone because we're not getting it as much from the medical community as we should be, that we are relying on our own community. We're relying on our friends. We're relying on, someone else who is going through it or has kind of went through it and is looking back and going, hey guys, this is what to expect. So awareness is definitely huge.
When you were going first through the first round of symptoms, let's say, and I know it's so hard to like pinpoint, the year was this and my kids were this and this was my symptom, right? But when you realize, like, when was the first time you realized you were having symptoms and then you started to relate it, oh, okay, something's going on? Or were you too already down the rabbit hole where you were like, where do I go now?
I think it was definitely much further into it. And again, because I was so busy, I didn't think about, could this be something else? It wasn't until the hot flash, because to me, hot flashes, irregular cycle, okay, that's what it is. But again, looking back, I can definitely say, just that the mood swings. I never slept. I will say this. Years, no sleeping. I would wake up in the middle of the night. My brain would turn on at 2 a.m. and not go back to sleep. Now I'm going, okay, well, yeah, you've had kids and, you've had babies and good luck with that. You're thinking about, day-to-day life. So, but I struggled with that for a long time. And that is definitely a big symptom. Brain fog, another huge one. And I am Google searching, okay, do I have early dementia? I mean, there's so many things that start to hit you and different things that you wonder, like, there's some health, you have these health scares. You think something else is going on.
Okay. Here's what I'm thinking, because now I'm like so I've been training perimenopausal women for a long time, and I've trained a lot of these women, and you hear the symptoms. I think more and more people are so much more open about it. So now, just in the last year or so, people are really starting to be very open about what they're experiencing. And like you said, it's the brain fog, it's the fatigue, it's the irritability. But then there's like ones that these were the ones that I was like, oh, wait a second. Because once you have babies, you think it's like maybe normal, pelvic floor issues, but actually like urinary tract, like regular urinary tract infections, urgency to urinate, constipation, like gut issues, dry mouth, dry eyes, vaginal dryness, like all of those are symptoms too, and the hot flashes, but you're only ever hearing about these more extreme ones, but they start kind of subtle, right?
Yep. Absolutely. No, there are so many. Vertigo is one. Tinnitus. I mean, there are so many different ones that people are like, wait a minute, that's related. So, yeah, again, just the more women are talking and sharing the stories, the more we're starting to realize there's a lot to this. And something interesting that I found was a very small percentage, I think it's less than like 0.5% of research goes into women's health and specific peri and menopausal health.
Women are not small men. I've learned that from Stacy Sims.
Yeah.
Would you attest to that, Kris?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have people on all sides of the spectrum. Kris, you've been there, done that. Darian's about to been there, done that. I probably will never go through that, right? I will
Probably.
deal with a wife, right? That goes through that. But
Yes.
what we're all trainers, right? What do we need to do differently? Like, what's the solution? How do we prepare our clients? And then after preparing them and telling them about what's going to happen, like, what's the solution?
So there's a lot of different ways. One is, of course, they want to still make sure that they're in touch with their doctor, seeing their OBGYN, but preparing, that's kind of a good one. There are a lot of things that we can do, that we can help our clients do. Strength training, and I'm sure we'll get into this, is one of the top things that you can do to help alleviate some symptoms. And I'm sure we've heard this quote before, keeping from going into, the senior home early is to strength train, and to strength train with heavy weights. So again, we're really starting to hear a lot of this with some of the professionals, with the experts that are saying, hey, we're looking at this with a wider lens. We're understanding some of the research that has been out for a long time is wrong. They're wrong. And we want to make sure that we are telling women, there are ways that, you're going to get into this phase, you're going to get older, but it doesn't mean you have to suffer through.
Yeah, and this is we're actually going to do a whole series on perimenopause. So we're going to have an episode, and Kris, we'd love to have you back for that as well, just on what does that strength training look like, because that is a full conversation in itself. Yep. Because another conversation is about diet. Like, could you just give a quick overview, because we'll do a whole episode on that, but a quick overview of what should women be starting to think about right now in terms of diet?
So the two key, which I'm sure women are hearing a lot more, is protein and fiber. Those are the two things that are missing in most Americans' diets, but definitely in women. So those, I think, are the two that we should, in healthy fats. Now, we hear about, are carbs good or bad? Carbs are good. Again, we're coming from off of this, old research, old things that are saying fat is bad and carbs are bad. So really taking a well-balanced diet, but again, focusing on protein and fiber are really key.
Man, yeah. I got to hit my fiber goals, Kris. You're making me motivated. If we may, Darian, did you want to say something real quick?
No, I was just going to connect it back because of the gut issues, which not a lot of people know about in perimenopause. That's the other reason, like, fiber is so important in eating a very balanced diet. So I'm really excited to spend a whole episode on breaking that down. What does that really look like? Because this is part of the reason that these things are so important. Like the strength training, it affects your hormones, and the nutrition, it affects your hormones. And what is happening in the body during perimenopause is this decline in all of our women's most important hormones, which is estradiol, progesterone, and testosterone.
Yep.
So we're having these huge hormone fluctuations, and by doing strength training and eating well, that's part of the puzzle of regulating these hormones. I felt like I needed to jump in there with that. But Joey, go ahead.
So Kris, you talked about, women need a clear path with their doctor, right? And I was just going to ask you, with you and your doctor, did you have clear communication and strategies, and were there indicators of blood work you always checked on, and then what they recommended? If you could just share your relationship with your doctor and what other clients maybe can do now.
Sure. My own personal experience is I kind of dove into this before I went to my doctor. I dove in and was reading different forums from women who are going through it and hearing over and over again that their doctors weren't listening to them. The doctors were dismissing them. Doctors were hearing them tell about their symptoms and saying, you need to be on different medication. You need to, for depression. So they're actually medicating them for depression rather than saying, okay, this could be perimenopause related. So I kind of did my own, again, deep dive into it. And I looked for an OBGYN where I felt would listen to me right off the bat before I even decided to connect with her. So, and I also went in with saying, I've done my own research and this is what I'm looking for. I believe I am going through these symptoms. I myself would like to be on HRT because I believe it. So I kind of came in a little bit strong and again did my research beforehand because I didn't want to waste time with somebody not listening to me.
I want to really applaud you for that, Kris, because it is not easy to advocate for yourself to a doctor, to a medical professional. It's so intimidating. I've been there too. During my pregnancies, I did a lot of research and I have very specific things. And then I found myself in that office staring at the doctor and feeling nervous to say what I knew I needed to say for myself, but was too scared. Could you tell us, where did you start with your own research? How did you, go about finding that doctor? And what would you tell women who are feeling nervous about, I don't want to tell my doctor I've done the research. How should they go about that?
And I think what you said was being a big advocate. Now, if you're a mom, you're going to advocate for your kids no matter what. You're going to come in strong. Yet we don't feel we can do that for ourselves. So really just getting out there, doing your own research. So we have so many different experts that are doing podcasts now, books that are out there, different forums that you can read for women that are perimenopause specific, menopause specific. Get out there and do your reading, do your research, and come with that when you go to find your doctor. And we, with the internet, you have the ability to go and see doctor reviews. I did that myself. I read what other women were saying, how they felt with a particular doctor. So, do that homework first so that you're well equipped when you get there.
It's so frustrating, right? And this is for everybody, right? When no one listens to you, when you're out there screaming, I have this. And the problem with Western medicine is, here's a pill.
Yep.
That'll medicate it. And it's easy, right? It's easy to do that. Anyone can do that. That's like us making everyone tired with burpees, right? It's not going to make them better, but it's going to make them sweatier, right? But my wife is a pharmacist, Kris, and she sees this right in front of us. Someone will be, and then she'll be like the psychiatrist, right? Like these people are like, this isn't going to help me, blah, blah, blah. But then people start abusing the drug, and that's a whole nother discussion. But I wanted to get back to you, how you're advocating for yourself, right? You're deep diving in all this research. And you just mentioned that there are a ton of experts now. Tell us your favorite experts or go-to resources that you could recommend off the top of your head.
So a few of the podcasts we know, Mary Claire Haver, certainly one. I enjoy the podcasts because they are very well spoken. They're coming from the heart. You can read their books as well. But a lot of questions are asked in the podcast. A lot of questions are answered. So I feel like you can get a lot from those. Stacy Sims, another one, Louise Newsom. If you, again, Google, perimenopause, menopause podcast, you'll be able to find these at the top.
Yeah, and then there's a website, the Menopause Society, where people can go and find providers in their area. So that's another good resource as well. I'm wondering, Kris, because we're on the topic of doctors, there is so much controversy around HRT, hormone replacement therapy. In all of the, the learning that I've been doing, it seems so clear now that a lot of these initial studies that were done were not done well, and HRT is actually incredibly safe and actually a longevity drug that can make your lifespan and health span so much longer. Do you have an experience with HRT?
Yes. I did my research with it, and what I think, really made me push for it myself was learning that, they a little bit archaic, again, going back to the research, was what they did, giving women the HRT, and they found, there was an increase in certain cancers. But what they didn't realize was this was in a subset of women who were in their 60s, late 60s, who did not need to be on HRT. So they came out with these findings, kind of scared everyone into thinking, oh, this is bad, you shouldn't be on this, it causes cancer. And going back now, we're looking at it and going, well, these women shouldn't have been on it anyway. In fact, my doctor, when I talked to her about it, she said, I agree with putting you on this, but then by the time you hit about 60 or a little bit before 60, then we're going to stop. So, and I totally agree with that. So again, just getting out there and learning as much as you can is super important.
Okay, I want to learn about HRT now because, I hear about older men, of course, getting testosterone and growth hormone, right? But what's the female side of it? Like if you go into a HRT specialist, what are they recommending? What's the buzz about with hormones?
So progesterone and estrol, and right now there's different ways that you can consume them. Oral, there's a patch. They actually have sprays too. There's different topical creams. So there isn't one size fits all. This is something that you can talk to your OBGYN and decide what you want to do. In fact, there are now places, online stores that sell this, and they have become very popular because women who are asking for it from their doctor and are getting turned down are now going online and finding that they can get these products online.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I wanted to touch on that. I mean, two things. One, definitely be talking to your provider, because it is so what works for one woman is not necessarily going to work for the other. It's the dosing, which hormones, how you take it, and I would urge women, if the one method or dosage doesn't work, keep trying, because it takes a bit of experimentation. But I think the thing I really wanted to touch on is if we could go back just a beat to the doctors. It's such a common story. They're not believing, and it's not all their fault. It's because they're not trained. Like you said at the beginning of the episode, they have not been given the education when they were in medical school to actually know what to do with these patients. And so they're kind of at a loss as well. And so, I have a personal story, a friend of mine who's, she's starting perimenopause. It's so clear she has a number of symptoms that are all yeah, check, no question to me. I'm hearing yeah, of course. And her doctor, instead of being willing to go, yeah, you're in perimenopause, her doctor's like, well, let's get you a brain scan. Well, that's probably not necessary. It's so clear what's happening here when you put all these symptoms together. So I'm just curious if there's anything else you could speak to on that, and just your experience with the HRT, and did it work for you, and did you have to experiment more, and was your doctor really receptive to that process?
She was, and I started on the lowest dose because I wanted to, let's see what happens. Let's start here, and if I need to increase it, I can. And again, I researched both. Those seem to be very safe, the combination between them. And I hate to say it, but what I'm hearing over and over is a lot of women have to change doctors. If you're not getting what you need from them, you might have to find another one. And sometimes it takes a few to get through. But you know what? This is your health. This is your body. This is, you're looking at it for longevity. So, and like you mentioned, there isn't as much being pushed in the medical. I see the medical field probably, I hope, it will be learning more about it. But right now, I think there needs to be a change there.
Kris, I'm curious, because you work with so many perimenopausal clients, and you're so passionate about this, because I've talked to you a lot about this at this point. I hear your passion, and I'm curious, how did you develop that level of passion for this group? What did you see in your clients? What were you hearing from them?
Yeah, I was hearing a lot of, again, them not feeling like they're being seen and heard, and every woman has a story. So first thing is I want to create a safe space so that they feel they can open up, that, I am just like you. I've been through this. And I want to hear what you're going through, and that there is more than just, little boxes that we check off. And really it does come back to, where your headspace is. Like, are you ready to take this on? And a lot of times it's like, I don't have a choice. I'm thrown into this. I'm feeling all these things. I have to do this. I have to do this for myself. And we're also, again, kind of in the stage of life where we're turning and we're seeing our parents age. And we're going, you know what? I got to do something for myself. I can't let myself get to the point where I'm not strong enough, where I'm going to fall, where somebody needs to take care of me. So again, it really kind of starts in the head, and then almost like you're a little bit more pressure at this stage that you have to do something. But I don't want women to feel scared. I want them to embrace it. I love to teach women, you know what, being strong is more than just physical. When you feel strong, when you feel capable that you can do something, that's going to carry over for everything else in life. Where you feel like, you know what, I'm doing this in the gym. I didn't think I could do this. I can do this here. I can, my job's easier. My whatever it is that, is just carrying those things on for life. So I really feel like strength is just encompasses everything.
So I was just about to ask, like, your clients, are they scared? And I guarantee you most of them are, or unprepared, right? But how do you hype them up? I mean, I guess you could share your own story, but tell us the reasons why women are just so scared.
Yeah, I think it's just feeling judged, not knowing what they're doing. And so just coming with this stigma of like, again, I don't want to get too big. I don't want to hurt myself. I'm not sure what I'm going to look stupid. I don't want to go to the gym. And a lot of them still talk about, well, there's the guys over there and they're lifting heavy and that's not me. And we try to get them to the point where, you know what, I want you to walk into the gym, not care who's surrounding you. And first of all, any of those people would be there to like hype you up as well. They're all doing their own thing. But I want you to feel so confident that you're like, you know what? I'm here for me. I'm staring at myself in the mirror. I'm the only one that I need to impress. So really building up that confidence is key. And sometimes it takes, a little bit of time, from the ground up. And again, just making them feel like, you know what? Or we start at home. We're like, let's start at home with what you have. We're going to build you up. We're going to make you feel comfortable. And then let's see what happens. And the women who, dive into the gym and they say, oh my gosh, I never thought I could do this. And the confidence that it builds, that's why I love my job.
Those are the badasses. Those are the moms you got to watch out for. Those are the moms that are like the move. Well, I guess any mom can move a car, but those are my buddy's moms. I'm like, okay, yes, Mrs. Daisy, you got it.
Yeah, it's really, I'm so passionate about this group too, because this is not a group of women who are fragile. They're not fragile. And even if like they haven't been strength training yet, they're at a point in life, right? We're talking 40s, 50s. You have done it all at this point. You have built a career maybe. You have raised your children. You have been through ups and downs. You've been in a relationship. Maybe you went through a divorce. Like there has been so much that at this point that women have been through. And when I talk to women in this phase of life, they're not saying like, oh, this sucks. I'm down and out. They're saying like, no, I'm not done yet. This is building that resilience. Like once again, they're building that resilience. They're saying, I can do this. I just need someone to point me in the right direction, to guide me there. They're saying, no, I want to do more. I'm like, yes, let's do it. You can do anything. I feel like, and Kris, you could really speak to this, like you have now raised 5 kids. I would guess, and just based on where a lot of my clients are who are your age, they're like, I've raised my kids, they don't need me in the same way. Mm-hmm. And I want to do what I want to do now. Like, are you feeling that too? And are you noticing that in your clients?
Absolutely. I feel like it's like, this is my time. You could focus more on yourself. And I want to be like, take the bulls by the horn and like, let's do it. Let's do this together. And I really just feel women just, once we embrace it, they can do anything. Like you said, they build up everything. They are so strong, but they don't give themselves enough credit with that.
And
Yeah.
they show up better as a mom, right? Like at
Yep.
the end of the day, and everyone around them gets better. Kris, was your husband very, supportive? And I'm sure your kids saw you go through this transformation, right? Speak to that. Like how did your family, constantly lift you up?
I mean, I've been working out for years. It's something that just I need it. I need it. It makes me feel good. I love lifting heavy, and I have to say, if I were going to recommend one piece of equipment for women who are maybe going through this might sound a little funny, is a slam ball. And I'm talking the kind with the sand in that does not bounce back. Because when you're going through the hormonal changes and you have rage, you can slam that thing down. So just a little recommendation there.
And you don't have to go
But
to the dentist with
yeah,
rebounds.
yeah. But I mean, make it fun, make it enjoyable. You should be walking away from a workout going, oh my gosh, I feel so much stronger. I feel so empowered. My kids see that. All my boys are a little bit older now and they all go to the gym. They work out, they ask me for advice. So yeah, and your kids see it. So women who have children, they are seeing their mom doing more. They're seeing like, you know what? I don't care what somebody you get to the point where you don't care what somebody else thinks. And that's where you need to be. Like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm here for me.
Yeah, you know what, Joey? I actually really like the direction you took there because I know, and Kris, you don't necessarily have to speak to this for your personal story, but I think it's good if you're a man listening to this episode to know that your partner, what they're going through, and it's real, that irritability, that rage, that mood swing, like just know, and maybe you can speak to this a bit, Kris, but it's not the partner, it's what you're going through, and it's not your fault. It's so hard to manage that. Like, I'm curious, like, what would you want, partners of women going through perimenopause to know, and how would you want them, like, if you could give them some tips, like how to relate to their partner better, what would you say?
Well, definitely just understanding and support. And this is where I feel if women can kind of filter all of those things going in, working out is such a key ingredient to that. Being able to, express yourself, not take it out on your husband, not take it out on your family, like go find it. You can't bottle it up. You could bottle it up, but I don't think that would be good. Use that energy, use that space in something that's going to, fulfill you, something that you're going to gain from it. That's healthy. So yeah, I mean, men just have to be supportive. And I think if they help women understand, like, I understand you're going through things. What can I do? Let's go for a walk. Do some things together. I mean, there's no reason that you can't, as a couple, as a family, put movement in.
I love that. That's
Bottle it
great.
up. Why are women always so prone to like hold stuff in? I feel like men are like, it's just a community like standard. Like, yeah, men are more physically and they can exert, right? But women are so more prone to hold it all in, especially moms, because the emotional burden, right? And they keep track of the doctor appointments and the all the physical and all that, right? And so women need to hear that again, Kris, is like tell them right now, like, don't bottle it up. Because I guarantee you in your journey, you wanted to be like, oh, it's me. Something's wrong with me. I'm just going to hold that. How did you, I mean, you're a trainer, of course. You've been working out all your life, but tell someone out there, hey, don't bottle it up.
I mean, there's a stigma with women like, oh, you're too emotional. Oh, you're hysterical. Oh, you're crazy. I mean, we hear these all the time where we start to close it up because our emotions, which everybody has emotions, are being looked at as a negative thing. And I just want to tell women, like, look, we all have emotions. Take those emotions and do something productive with it. Do something where you're going to get something out of it. So this is why I feel like being able to, work out and move, you're going to feel good. You're going to get those emotions out. You're again, your family, it's better for everyone. So it's just getting to that point where you feel comfortable enough doing it. And I'm like, what do you have to lose? Honestly, women, what do you have to lose? Nothing. You have so much to gain.
That's a really excellent point. I learned from Mary Claire Haver, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, that she said in the medical community back in the day, they used to say you have a WW in room, whatever, which meant whiny woman. Like that was a legitimate thing. And that's to prove your point about this stigma. Oh, we're not supposed to complain about everything. Like we have it all. Don't complain. But it's not complaining. It's your truth. It's, you need to speak your truth, because honestly, that rage is real. I compare it to postpartum rage. Oh my gosh, that was insane. For me, I was like, oh God, like I just feel angry all the time. But part of it is like, you're not getting sleep in postpartum, but you're not getting sleep in perimenopause either. You're not getting sleep. You feel like you're going crazy. You're like, what's happening to me? I'm doing the same things. I used to be fine. Now everything's different. And it's emotional. And it's not just that like you're emotional. It's literally the hormones affect your brain. They affect your serotonin levels. So hello, it's real. Like to all the women out there, it's biological. I'll scream it. It's biological. It's not you. And if everyone, partners, everyone who you're going through it, don't blame yourself. Nothing's wrong with you. So I know I got so heated and passionate just then. I just want people to know like this is so normal. And like Kris said, you can take that energy and you can put it into figuring out this puzzle for yourself and how it all fits together. And you can cry too. And you can yell and scream too.
In talking about strength, we can look at another woman and go, wow, look how strong she is. Look where she is in her life and how much she goes through and everything that she does. And she's like, has to be organized and take care of she is so strong. We don't look in the mirror and say that to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And we are so strong. Mm-hmm. And not to say anything against men. I'm just saying women are so strong that we don't give ourselves enough credit.
I think women are stronger than men.
I didn't click on
that. Double click on that.
Period. Kris, okay, so we're on this path of like exertion and whatnot, right? And expressing, right? That's the yin, let's say, right? There always has to be the yang, though, the recovery. Can you speak to top tips for recovery for you? I know like women are struggling with sleep, but do you recommend sauna? Do you recommend float tanks? All that. Like, what's your go-to?
I honestly would say do what feels good. There's not a one size fits all. Yoga, keep up with mobility, go for a walk, just being out in nature. That could be your recovery. And just honestly, take that time for yourself and don't feel guilty about it. We look at it as like, oh, a guilty pleasure. That's not a guilty pleasure. You recovering and taking this time and being able to like unwind physically, mentally should be part of your everyday life. So look at it that way. Look at it as like, this is part of what I also need. And a lot of times, at least for me, I'm not sure if other moms have go through this. My quiet time is when I'm in the shower and all of a sudden my brain turns on. I'm like, oh, because I'm here and nobody needs me and I can now freely think, or if you're in the car by yourself. But I find these little pockets of time during the day that it just doesn't happen as often.
Kris, unfortunately, my kids are still at the age where they stand in between the outside shower curtain and the inside and they just stare at me. And I'm like, can you guys give me some privacy? You don't need to be this close to me all the time. It's so funny. But yeah, I love what you said about just, finding that time for yourself. That is so important. Like that isn't a luxury. That is really needed. Mm-hmm. And I did want to circle back. You mentioned yoga and mobility. Yep. And I don't even know if we said it, but the joint pain during perimenopause, a frozen shoulder and have your hips feeling so tight. Can you speak just a bit to like that necessary mobility that is really important at this time?
Yeah, absolutely. And it definitely joint pain. I still sometimes get up in the morning, and as soon as I stand up, everything's stiff. And it's not. It's just my ankle. Like everything is so stiff, And I'm like, why am I feeling like an old person? Like you hear it, like, oh, I'm so stiff. And I'm like, that's not going to be me. I work out all the time. I do all the right things. And here I am getting out of bed going, crap, yep, this is me. So what I personally do is I do a lot of single leg, a lot of balance work, because I want to make sure not just to, be strong with balance, but to, with mobility. So getting my walking in, super important, stretching. And it doesn't take that much time. I mean, you should, if you're seated at a desk, if that's your job, get up every 5 minutes and just stretch. Think of all the places that you need to like move your body. A lot of women also see, posture, core, everything goes hand in hand, but really just being well-rounded, getting the flexibility in, the mobility in, getting that strength training in, you'll be key, but you got to start now. I mean, and I don't care how old you are, start now.
Okay, Kris, what would you tell the 35-year-old Kris, the 40-year-old Kris, the 45-year-old Kris? You don't have to do all three, but what would you tell yourself looking back now? Hey, insert sentence.
Don't stop. Just keep moving. Do something. Don't stop. This is just, I don't call it a change. It's not like, a lifestyle change. No, this is life. And you just don't stop. You put it into something. You can do something every day. And, it helps to have a plan for sure. But I look at it like I am just not, the minute I stop, and I don't mean like, kids have been sick and I haven't been able to get to the gym. Not like that. I just mean in my head, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to do something for myself every day that I'm going to benefit from. Some kind of movement, and strength training is definitely top of my list.
Yeah. Kris, thank you so much. It's really an honor to work alongside you because you're such a wealth of knowledge in this space. But also, I just really appreciate you being willing to share your personal story with us today and kind of like, put that human aspect to this experience. It will happen to every woman. It will happen. So we have to be prepared. So thank you so much. And for the listener, we will have a whole series on perimenopause. And if you're not a woman listening to this, keep listening because you will get things out of this, even for yourself, but also to help your partner if your partner is going through this as well. So we're going to talk all about strength training and how important that is, like how you should be training when you're 40 plus as a woman. We're going to break down nutrition. We're going to break down sleep recovery. We're going to talk a bit about HRT, and maybe how to find your provider that's going to work for you. So a lot to come. So I hope everyone sticks around with us, and Kris will be back on to talk to us as well.
Thank you, Kris.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all so much for listening. Hopefully that just wet your whistle because we have more coming at you. We are going to be deep diving into strength training 40. We're going to be deep diving into nutrition for perimenopause, sleep recovery, all the things. So stay tuned with us throughout this whole series.
Like Kris said, do not stop. Do not stop going forward. Guys, we thank you so much for listening. We want to remind you to check out our show notes because you will see your link to try us for 2 weeks free. Get matched with your own personal trainer. And stay tuned. Episode 2 coming soon.